like you mentioned at the beginning, Mark, it starts with a quarterback and a guy like Tyler Van Dyke, who we are lucky to have back, because this point last year, we were all hopes on a guy in Derek King to take us to the promised land. And for him to get injured and to have someone as good as what Tyler Van Dyke has became, after only throwing 2 passes his freshman year, came back the following year after getting Derek King injured, had 25 touchdowns, right under 3,000 passing yards. It's tremendous.
So, yeah, the sample size is about 8 or 9 games. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a really good game to get him into, first and foremost, against Central Connecticut State to obviously, it's the worst opponent on the schedule. You get your guy ready to play, your young quarterback. His first couple games, he threw some picks, but he obviously showed, okay, we got something here. And then after that, he cleaned up the interceptions, and it was like 350 a week with 3 or 4 touchdown passes. It was pretty remarkable. And then you got a group of young receivers. There's really been this transformation. Charleston Rambo was the one guy who, as a veteran receiver, obviously coming in from OU, he proved to be the real deal and put up some big numbers. He moves on. The rest of the veteran guys were disappointments. We've talked about them in the past, but there's been a total overhaul at the wide receiver position. To Mike Harley, we'll obviously give him credit for what he accomplished in moving on to the NFL as well. But there's been a overhaul at the quarterback, at the wide receiver position that's exciting as well.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get it twisted, right? It seems like our dominant receiver in the past few years has been a transfer guy that we've landed in the portal. You mentioned the guy before. You have someone in KJ Osborne the following year from Buffalo, and then Charleston Rambo this past year. This year, obviously, we got another transfer in Frank Latson, who is a high-caliber recruit coming out of the South Florida area. Didn't do too much at Clemson so far. He has been banged up with injuries. So like you mentioned, when you look at this wide receiver room, we don't necessarily have a number one true guy that we could depend on like in the past few years. But I think you have a contribution of young talent where you've seen very glimpses and flashes of pretty much all these guys on the roster, whether it's Xavier Restrepo, Keyshawn Smith, someone in Daz Worsham who you probably haven't heard of at all is probably going to get a few touches. And someone in Romello Brinton and Jacoby George, who I expect to have a big year. No one has been that guy yet. But the good thing is we do have a lot of guys who could potentially be that guy. And if not, we have a contribution of guys. And when you have a coach Gaddis, able to lead that wide receiver room, I'm pretty confident that we should be able to get the job done. And we got young tight ends as well. I mean, I think the good thing with the team in the Miami Hurricanes, as you know, we are known for tight end U, right? And when you have a senior tight end in Will Mallory, who's been banged up, not just this spring, but, it seems like all throughout his career at Miami, we already have young guys in Elijah Arroyo and Jaleel Skinner, who's already doing tremendous flashes in the spring. So it's great to finally have depth at a lot of positions. And, I mean, we haven't even started at the running back position as well.